Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Book Nook here at WBAT Batavia, Ohio Public Television. My name is Colin Thistlewaite, and today we are blessed with the presence of an author who is so prolific that he has written a total of 1,243 books.
Actually, it's 1,247 since you booked me, which was last night.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic.
I had a bit of the Harpsichorian muse take me when I was in the Hojo, the Howard Johnsons.
That's fantastic.
I wrote one of the novels on the back of a coffee filter in the room.
That's fantastic. This is Ashley Beaumont, but he needs no introduction. I'm sure you've read him if you've traveled through any bus terminal between here and Sacramento, California.
Well, not so much the Greyhounds. I had a falling out with them a little while ago after my novel Loose Tires, Spare Change came out, and they were not too happy with their depiction as an evil conglomerate trying to take over the world.
Yes.
Which I do believe they are trying to do.
Yes.
I normally I ride Bolt Bus if I do myself.
You do. Now, I remember that book very, very clearly. I believe it consisted of two sentences. The first sentence was, Greyhound lines suck balls.
It wasn't my finest work. I've always made a point of having brevity, being the soul of wit, being at the heart of all my novels, except for the ones that aren't.
Now, you were really well known. I think you really came on the scene when you came up with a book whose title required at least 15 inserts, folded inserts from the top of the cover inside, but actually consisted of only 2 words in terms of the actual body of work.
Dump Bucket.
Dump Bucket, that's right. But do you remember the title? Can you recite the title off the top of your head? Because it was a long one.
It was a Dump Bucket, the buildings Roman of a young boy, nay, a young man, who found himself fraught with peril in the midst of a 7-Eleven somewhere outside of Ashtabula, Ohio, and that was pretty much the whole title there. I had a sequel that came out. It was called Slick Willie, the tale of an orca who lost its fins, and it was really sad. The orca worked as a bathroom attendant at a very fine hotel in Huntsville, Alabama. It was the coincidentally, it was the Beaumont Hotel, not my kin, mind you. But it was a very fine establishment, and they had a finless whale that was he would give you mints and freshen you up in the powder room, as it were. He was a very sad man whale.
That is amazing. You have literally, word for word, including all the and uhs, captured the title of that book.
I did write it.
You have entire college courses dedicated to trying to figure out why you spent so much on the title of the book, but only spent 2 words for the body of the text.
Well, really, I like to flip academia on its ear, because I never went to college myself.
What was your original job?
My original job was I worked at a very fine establishment. I believe it's only in the southern states, but I was a hash brown cook at Waffle House, and my first novels were really just they were just the ingredient lists of the things I'd be cooking. So my first, it was a short story. It was a lovely short story.
I do recall that when it was scattered, smothered, covered in grease.
It really captured that time in my life when I was covered in grease quite a lot. My lady friend at the time, she worked the register, and she had a particular predilection to making love in the dumpster in the back of the Waffle House. And there was quite often the drippings and the vegetable oil, and we'd come out looking like newborn babes, just covered in grease and hair matted and sometimes a little bit of blood.
One final question for you before we wrap up here at Book Nook. What of all the 1,237?
It was 47.
47, I'm sorry.
I don't want to discount the last 10. They were very fine novels.
Okay, all right. Of all the 1,200 plus books that you have written, by far, which one would you want your children to read?
I do have 38 children, and 3 of them are indeed literate. The other 35 have been working in the diamond mines in Zambia, which is where I get my abundant wealth with which I can write these novels. If my turn to read any of my novels, I think I would have them read Crackerjack and the Bagpipe Adventure. It was a good one. It was primarily involved a young street tramp that I knew when I was a child, who had a horrible affliction. He had Marfan syndrome. He was a very tall, gangly sort of like Lincoln. And he had a big hole in his chest, as those folks are wont to do. And he was a bit of an outcast, but he found a way to play a bagpipe by sticking it in his chest cavity and hiding it underneath his clothing and scaring the bejesus out of travelers that would come through town. And it's really his odyssey as a man, and eventually as he was beaten to death. It was quite sad. I still have his bagpipe with me. He named it Feline Friska. It's a bit of an in-joke with me and the boy, because I used to have a bit of a fetish with cat gut. You string it up in between his ears, and he just played till the cows came home.
That's amazing that you have such great depth behind it, and yet the actual book itself, I think, contained a total of 3 sentences.
Well, the 3 sentences were pregnant with meaning and subtlety.
Well, I want to thank everybody for stopping by to Book Nook here at WBAT Public Television.
I was the only one here.
For
You do
Batavia,
realize that, right?
Ohio. Well, we do have our cameraman, Bud, back there.
But, hey, Bud, I didn't see you there. If you wouldn't mind, afterwards we can go out and get a nice libation at this wonderful place I found called the Big Boy. They have one here in Batavia, is it?
That is correct. That is correct.
Fine
Yes.
establishment. I enjoy very much drinking the gravy.